Have I coached you before?
Uh, I'm not.
Okay. So one second here. Let me just. Where's my? Okay. Coaching session one. Boom. Okay. So, um, what's the deal, man? What's your MMR? What are we here for? Etc. The norms.
Okay, so my MMR is sitting at 3650 right now. Um, I hadn't played for a good few months, so I was trying to come back around the international and see how I played then. And I feel like that I am underranked, but I obviously have to catch up. Like when I applied for the coaching, I was Legend 2. I'm already Legend 4, and progressing through that. And I just wanted to know, like, you describe how you think I'm playing, where you think I could get to.
Okay. What role?
I've been playing 3, 5, and some 2, but a lot more. Most of my games have been around. The most recent ones have been 3.
Okay. So, are you here today with replays of three?
Yeah, I have 2 really recent ones that I just played today.
Cool. Post them in here whenever you're ready, and I will do my best to get you what you're asking for here.
Alrighty. Let's see. All right. Did you? Here, one sec. That was a match idea of that one.
Cool.
Did you?
Love you,
I got
BSJ.
I got it. Let's see. Oh, nice. Very recent game. Okay. So who are you in this game?
Earthshaker?
Okay. So how long have you played offlane? Like out of you said you took a break from Dota. Were you playing offlane before that?
I played. Yeah, I played more offlane than I did any other position. I've been playing a lot of 5 just because nobody would play 5. But other than that, yeah, I've been
Okay.
playing.
So you've always been a primarily offlane player,
Yeah.
is what I'm confirming. Okay, cool. So I feel like how long have you played Dota? Sorry, this is just a confirmation here.
Uh, I think it's around 5, 6 years now.
Okay, so I don't know if you've noticed, but offlane's drastically changed in the last 2 years, maybe last year. So like right off the bat, you're offlaner, right? So um, I don't know how to say this nicely, so I'm just gonna say it. Like this is never happens. Like this is 0 out of 100 games that this will be your starting items. If you watch like really high tier offlaners, like what it is right now is they didn't change. Like yeah, they had a small patch, but they didn't change anything about the game. It just nerfed some of the OP heroes. So all this patch is CSing and trading. That's all it is. Like you're just trying to out trade the guy and CS at the same time. Like that's all that matters. Kills, they kind of just happen. Like if you're trading with somebody and they are out of position, you kill them. But aside from that, all your focus is trading and CS. So with that in mind, what kind of items do you think I'm thinking? If all that
Uh,
matters is trading and CS.
I I don't. Do you mean also like survivability into that? Like, obviously quelling axe since I'm melee and I could probably get that, but
You
Also,
eventually get that. So that will be
yeah.
like the first item you buy, but like what about your starting items?
Uh, salve, tangos, making sure that I can stay in the lane.
So maybe like Salve, Tango, Stout, Shield, Double Mango, something like
Yeah.
that, or two sets of Tangos and one Mango. Either way, it's a ton of regen and a Stout Shield. That's like every melee hero in 7.189, whatever it is, like because it's been that
Hmm.
way for a while. So I know you took a break, so that's why I'm kind of like refreshing you here. Like that's all it is. You just need to trade. Like wand is not like a trading item. Wand is something you buy like later, and for the most part, because of what happened to wand, I'd say like 4 months ago, wand used to give HP regen. Wand was you're seeing my screen right? Like I shared it with you, so
Yes.
you're saying okay, just make sure. So you don't really buy wand early on in the lane, pretty much ever, unless you're like dying. Like the only time you buy stick. Like you buy a stick for the laning stage at the side shop. But aside from stick, wand is like a really inefficient upgrade for the most part. Like usually there's a better item on almost every hero, and like in the past it gave HP regen, so people would just buy wand every game for the lane because it gave HP regen. Now it's just three all stats, which that doesn't help you trade and CS nearly as much as a stout quelling, for instance, or just a stout or a quelling individually. So like I start right off the bat saying I look at these items and I just know for a fact that whenever I see incorrect items or incorrect skill builds, it's just that's why I talk about trying to learn to walk before you learn to run, because if you are trying to play a lane mechanically correct and you just don't have the right items or the right skills, it just doesn't matter. Like it actually just doesn't matter. Because the understanding you have of the lane, understanding of how well you'll trade, all that kind of stuff is just completely warped by the fact that you have a wand instead of a stout shield and a bunch of regen. So just keep that in mind. If anything, like if you're trying to get back in the groove of Dota, just look at one Offlane Earthshaker replay, just see what the guy builds, and stem from that. Like that's what I do generally. Like if I'm playing Clinks, which I'm learning right now, I like had a general understanding of what items I was supposed to buy, and then I literally went and watched like three different replays and saw what everyone bought, saw how it compared to like what I thought I should buy. Some of them were the same as what I thought I should buy. Some of them were a bit different. And I was wondering, I had to think to myself, why would he choose slippers of agility over two branches or something like that? Like why did he do that? And then I that's how you have to solve it for yourself.
Hmm.
Okay, so Offlane Shaker here. Fast forwarding. So somehow in this tier it's still tri-lanes, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. God, it's so hard to coach this when it's so different than my bracket. I mean, you're doing everything so far, like meaning you can't really do much here against the Lich tri-lane. Definitely the only thing I can say so far is items, but you're against a tri-lane, so not much you can do right now. What I would say is the problem with Wand, just to be very clear to you, is if you're in a dual lane, like you should be in this patch, then wand is just not the most efficient item. And if you're against a tri lane, the wand's not going to make a difference. So against tri lanes, the best thing you can do, and the reason why, generally speaking, that tri lanes aren't done, is you should be dragging the creeps from here. If you see really high level games, if there's ever like a complete shit lane for the offlaner, like meaning for whatever reason the lane is just bad, they'll be dragging creeps all game. I mean, this is Ryu. He's not like some professional world class player, but he was in for whatever reason, even in my bracket, was thrown into a complete shit lane. Just to show you real quick what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
So he's like 1v2, maybe one. I think he's 1v2 in this game, and he's against like a really unfavorable matchup. So like he's getting bodied pretty hard. So this is what he starts doing. Just fast forwarding because of pause. Do you see where I'm getting at here?
Yeah.
Okay. So the idea is, I explained this before in some of my coaching videos, but I'll quiz you a little bit now. If you're at an advantage in a lane, do you want chaos or stability in the laning equilibrium?
If you're at an advantage,
Yeah.
uh, I would say stability to continue having your advantage.
Okay. So you want all the creeps in one place, right? Like you just because if you're at the advantage, you want to just control as much as you possibly can, which means you want all the creeps next to each other, which means you want the same thing to be happening over and over again. You see what I'm saying? So if you're at the disadvantage, what do you want?
The chaos.
Okay. Do you see what he was doing? Like,
He was throwing them in circles.
yeah. So that's
Creeps.
what most players in your bracket have no idea what they're doing. Like, just to be frank with you, they have no idea how to create chaos. They just all take standard lanes. They all like tri lane versus tri lane. They all take like they just let the creeps meet each other. They just let everything normal happen. So the problem is this applies to any role in any situation. That if you are at the disadvantage, so what would be the equivalent in a safe lane if you're a 5 position of creating chaos?
Uh, would it just be polling?
Yeah, right? So, like, if you're in a disadvantageous lane or a situation in the lane where you can't contest them, which means the creep wave's up here, or, like, you're just in a shitty lane, what's the best thing to do? Pull, right? Like, so it's like, I literally always ask myself, if the two creep waves just meet each other like normal and nothing happens, who wins this lane? And then I play accordingly. And you need to have a decent gauge to yourself in any situation in any lane of that idea. And so as an offlaner especially when you're being thrown against tri-lanes, let me tell you, do you think he won that lane as Magnus?
Probably not.
No, but he was level 5 at 8 minutes rather than level 3 or something. Like, he got way more out of the lane than he would just letting the lane just be normal. I'm not trying to tell you or anyone else that playing the way I'm telling you to play will make you win the lane. It'll just make it so you're not getting zoned out level 1 like this. So my idea is if you buy... Okay, would you rather be level 1 at 4 minutes or level 3 at 4 minutes with 2 deaths?
Probably the level 3.
Okay, and that's just how it is. And the thing I look at with this lane is... Does Lich Tusk kill you? Without the jug
always.
in the picture.
Well, no.
No. So, okay, do they kill you with jug in the picture?
Yes.
Okay, so how should that affect how you approach this lane?
I would be able to move off and grab those creeps and then do it safely.
Yeah, you need to do things that don't involve jug, right? So, where's jug going to be 100% of the time?
Farming his creeps.
He's going to be right here hitting creeps, right? So, everything with that immediately in mind, if you know to yourself, okay, how do I die? This is something you should often ask yourself in any role, but especially the offliner when you're against a tri-lane, is how do I die? What heroes are required for me to die? And if the carry's included, then you need to do things away from him. Like that's just all there is to it. Like, if I'm like, that's what that mag did. I'm a life stealer. I was a huge threat to him. And even though it's Lion life stealer, we can't do anything to mag if he's running around dragging creeps, because I'm going to be missing creeps to kill him, or like to try to go find him. And I don't know if you know the math here, but as a carry player, is it worth killing you to miss 6 CS?
No.
No, it's not. I can't afford to miss 6 CS to kill you. It's just not. I'm not going to. And if I do, okay. Like, you're okay with this. Like, if you're dying over here, and there's just creeps of yours dying here, that was worth it for you to do that. Like, that's just, it's fine. Like, that's all there is to it. So, don't accept stability when you're in shitty lanes, period. I talk about when I'm a carry player, if the lane's up here and nobody's doing anything, I'll go pull for myself. If I'm like, if we saw at the International one game where Sumail was mid-Alchemist against Bloodseeker, which if they just meet normal creep waves, he's going to lose. So level 1, he dragged creeps from here and wound them all the way over here. Like, people do some crazy shit when they're not at the advantage. And don't accept just standing here. Like, I'm saying you're doing all you can, but I'm actually going to take back everything I said and say no. This is what a normal player would do, especially in your bracket. Like, this is what everyone will do. And you know why people still try lane in your bracket?
Because they think they can take advantage of the person not getting his levels. And
Yeah, because this is what the normal offlaner will do. If the normal offlaner in this bracket dragged creeps all day and got level 5 by minute 8 anyways, then nobody would try lane anymore because it ain't going to work. Like, in your bracket, look at what's happening, right? You have a jungling Doom as the opponent offlaner, and you have you sitting underneath your tower. So it's like nobody is afraid to try lane because they don't realize how bad it is. Like, they just don't realize it's not a thing. Because how are you supposed to realize it's not a thing if the opponent offlaner is just accepting it? Big deal about that. So we're going to focus a bit on the lane here in that regard. But aside from that, like, I actually can't tell you anything more until you start causing chaos. But that's something that, to best use your money and time, you should go look up, I guess. Like, you should just go see what other... Like, now that I've presented this concept to you of chaos, go see what other offlaners will do in shitty situations. Or watch streams and see what, when I'm in a really good lane as a carry, what the offlaners try to do, you know? Just look out for it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Because that's the best option. So now the lane's actually pushing into you because they leave standard tri-lane stuff in this bracket. So once again, you know, you're not really getting punished for not doing shenanigans because for whatever reason the other team just decides we're going to fuck up the lane equilibrium because our carry has no idea what he's doing, and then we're going to leave. Like, you realize how bad what they're doing is, right? Like, we both see it. So we don't want you to be content joining them in the being the bad thing, you know? So your role in this was, okay, so if I'm a carry and I'm going to analyze it from my perspective, and this is important for you to understand my perspective. Why?
because you can wait.
If I'm a carry player, why is it important for you to understand my perspective?
Because you need to know what he wants to be able to stop it, prevent like what.
Yeah, exactly. Like one of the most important things in a laning stage is literally thinking, what's the other guy's win condition? What is he trying to accomplish? Does he want to trade with me? Does he, who cares about missing CS more, him or me? Like, all these things matter a lot, right? Like, thinking from his perspective. So I'm going to give you my perspective. Is there some lanes as a carry, if I'm in your safe lane, where right here I'm perfectly fine, but here I'm not? Are there lanes like that?
Yes.
Okay. So what does that mean about lane equilibrium? What that means is you need to know, to some extent, where the enemy carry is happy with the lane being. Okay? So if he's happy here, and it's here, you have to ask yourself, can you farm it? If the answer is yes, what do? You just farm it. If the answer is no, what do?
You play your safe, get XP.
Do we accept stability when it is not to our advantage?
No.
No! So what are your options if the lane's right here and you're the offlaner?
Pull the lane.
Pull this, right?
Yep.
Drag the creeps?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Which one's ideal? Would you rather pull this or deny creeps? Or pull the creeps here?
I've had trouble pulling that camp for some reason, but I've never had trouble dragging creeps.
You should practice pulling this camp. It's like you have to pull it this way.
Okay.
And the way they changed it this patch, like, it's really impossible to pull it this way. So you have to pull it this way and this way. So you should practice that. You should literally go into a private lobby and practice pulling this camp to here and this camp to here. Get the timing down, understand it, because it's really important to have that option. You need to be able to do that. Like, it's something where that's the kind of stuff I tell people to practice in private lobbies, because it's not worth you losing a lane because you try to go pull this and fuck it up, rather than, like, just spending 10 minutes of your day to just practice the timings, because once you get it, you have it, right? Like, it's really easy. But, like,
Yeah.
if you're in the middle of a game trying to figure it out and you lose 3 landing stages in a row because you mess it up 3 times, it's like, that's not fun. So, so the 2 options are this and this. Which one do you think is more ideal? Which would you rather do?
Obviously pulling the camp, but then
Not necessarily. Why would I not necessarily ideally pull this camp? If I pull my creeps into this camp and then his creeps run down the lane, what am I getting out of that? A wave, right?
yeah,
What's he getting?
possibly those.
So a wave and a camp, right?
Yeah,
So ideally, wouldn't I just rather take this wave?
yeah.
So what situations would I rather do what I just said? Where I said I'd rather have this wave come to here and then him go to here. And what situations would I rather that be the case?
Where you can get denies on the creeps,
Or you can actually contest him. That's how I think about it, right? Like you said denies, I think you're on the right track. Like where you can actually contest him when he's farming this.
Yeah.
So if you're really far behind, which one's ideal?
The pulling the creeps.
Okay.
Pulling the lane.
Yeah, okay. And if you're close to even but you're not in an advantage, this is better, right?
Yep.
Because you can contest. But mainly asking yourself, can I contest? So the ideal situation is honestly to pull this and contest it. Second ideal situation is to drag. The third ideal situation is to just pull this and give him the big camp. Are there some times where it is worth it to you to get a free wave to yourself, but also give him a wave and a camp? Is there sometimes that's worth it?
Depending on the level that you're getting.
I mean, it's just like you have to think like, if I don't do this, how much am I getting out of the lane and how much is he getting? Like, so you have to ask yourself, if I do this and he gets a bonus big camp because I do this, is the difference between him getting a bonus camp and me getting no bonus camp, but I'm getting a full wave, compared to whatever's happening normally, what's worse, right?
Yeah.
So when you're at the disadvantage, has any of this said you're going to win your lane because you're doing this?
No.
What is it saying?
You're getting the best you can.
Yes,
Well, the best rate.
exactly, right? So like as a safe laner, it's actually been a big deal at the higher tiers of Dota right now because dual lanes are so prevalent, and oftentimes you're dealing with I guess the patch came out, but you were dealing with Enchantress +1 every fucking game. I was getting wailed on by an Enchantress and fissured by an Earthshaker from Fog. Like, that was my life for 4 months. So, like, what is my goal as a carry player in that lane? Just to get the best out of a bad situation, right? So, the problem that I had personally, and I still do it a little bit, is just my carry instincts, kind of like how your offlane instincts kind of just say, I'm going to take this like it is, I'm 1v3, I'm just going to accept it. As a carry player, I have the instincts of, I'm supposed to win my fucking lane, I'm supposed to get farm, that I overplay my hero because I'm pissed off that I'm not getting farm, and I die. And then suddenly a lane that's supposed to be kind of mediocrely bad is a disaster, and then we just lose the lane. So my point being is, the way that the ideal world to look at it is, if I play the lane normally, what happens? If I do these other things, what happens? Like, and sometimes you don't know. Like, for me, the best way to figure any of this shit out is trial and error, right? Like, it's just, normal sucks, so might as well try something different. Like, that's what, a lot of players at the high level kind of just realize is like, well, if I play this lane normally, it fucking sucks, so let's try to figure something out. And that was originally when this patch came out last year. People were dragging creeps at the level 1 every single game because they realized offlane just sucked, so they were just dragging creeps every single game. And then they patched that, and then they realized we can just dual lane, and then all this stuff is like people figuring out what can be done differently. So just remember this idea. I know I've talked a lot about this, but this is a big deal for you to solve. Just remember this idea of chaos and stability and who that benefits as it pertains to you and the carry from the offlane perspective. And you can also apply it to every role, right? But if you're primarily playing offlane, it's best that you do it from the offlaner first. Um, like, it's better that you understand this from one hero. Okay, so these general concepts, it's better that you understand it from one hero, one role's perspective first, and then try to branch out. So, like, if I'm telling you to practice all this chaos shit, you should probably just play Earthshaker or whoever your favorite hero is 10 games in a row while practicing this, so that you learn how to mess with pull camps or drag creeps or, you know, create chaos in, because each individual hero has different ways of doing it, right? Like,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying? So that's something that you need to understand the general concept on one of your favorite heroes, see what it does, and then apply it to other heroes. So that's that's the best way, in my opinion, to approach this whole idea. So creep aggro I see right there. How often do you creep aggro, do you think?
Uh, depends on how probably mad I am at the game right now. I always get really aggressive towards heroes whenever I get pissed because someone's doing something wrong. But
Do you know
I
what
don't
creep aggro
purposely
is?
do it. Yes, when you
Oh,
press
okay.
A
Okay,
on
sorry. So,
the
okay, I'm making sure. So, I heard like aggressively angry at heroes. I'm like, how does that have to do with creep aggro? But I see what you're saying. So like, do you? I always ask for people getting coaching sessions. Have you watched any of my like specifically mechanical educational videos at all?
haven't watched
Okay.
it. I've watched your stream a lot, but I haven't
Yeah.
watched it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. I just try to make sure I know the context. So, do you know what creep aggro does for you?
Uh,
Like,
Not
just
really.
name as many things, even if it's just one. Like, just try your best to name what creep aggro could do for you.
drawing the creep wave, I guess, towards you would be one thing.
And how does that help you? Like, why is that good?
Because, like you said, there is a position in the lane where a jug feels safe and where he doesn't.
Okay.
So that could get you a better position.
Absolutely.
It could get all the creeps on the range creep, which would take that down and make it an easier deny if it's closer to you.
Okay.
Um,
If you're done, that's fine. Is that it?
that's pretty much it.
Okay, I mean that's fine. Like those are acceptable things. So yes, it's positional based, and that goes along with understanding where the lane is good for you or not. That's one thing, right? Like if you understand exactly where the lane is good for you or not, guess what? You're gonna try to figure out weird ways to get the lane there, right? Like think about it that way. So creep aggro is one of the best ways to do that. That's first and foremost. Secondly, if there's a creep right here, and he's here, if I drag the creep to here, that may not be, in this situation it will be, but it may not be that this position is dangerous for him, but he may just physically not be able to catch up to the creep as it's dying. So he just can't go for the deny. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, what you'll see a lot of players do is they'll make the creep aggro them as it's about to die, so that the guy who's trying to deny it isn't actually in range to deny it anymore. Like, if you watch my stream very closely, I do that all the time. Like, all high-level players do it all the time. So, like, and it's something that if you don't know it's happening, you don't look for it at all. So, it's something where you get in the habit of understanding how creep aggro works, where meaning, like, how quickly the creeps chase you and how fast they chase you, how far they chase you, that kind of stuff. And you'll be like, okay, so if this creep, like, if I drag it right now, the creep will get triggered to attack me. It's going to get hit by this tower after getting hit by these creeps, and then I'll hit it. So you'll want to time it such that this creep comes here, it's going to be in tower range, it takes one tower hit, and you kill it. That would be the ideal creep aggro timing, like for when you do this. BSJ, that sounds really hard. That is hard, but that's how you practice creep aggro. Like, you have to understand, you want this creep away from him. That's the first and foremost thing, right? Would you rather have the creep here where you're both hitting it, going for the deny, or would you rather have it here, right? Like,
Yep.
think about it. That's how you first establish, I need to use creep aggro. And then secondly, you're like, okay, well, this creep aggro is going to be into tower. I need to time it so that this creep is getting hit by these and by tower, and then I finish it off. Like, it sounds hard, but that's how it is, right? Like, that's the ideal version of creep aggro. So my point is, first recognize you need to do it, and then secondly, trial and error. Like, that's really all there is to it. Like, you'll learn the timings if you understand all of the times you're supposed to use it. Do you think somebody told me this what I'm telling you now, and suddenly I was just a god at creep aggro. That's not what happens, right? Like, all these little things, these nuances of how the creeps chase you, I'm still learning it, okay? Like, I'm still perfecting this aspect. Like, it's such a... Like, things like this are so cool because the skill cap and usefulness of them are so high. Like, it is so high. But for you to start doing it now, all that's going to do is going to get better for you. Like, so
Yeah.
what I clear to everyone that comes to my coaching sessions is you need to do these things one at a time, okay? So until you feel like you've understood the idea of when the lane should be stable or chaotic and the best ways to do that, until you do that, don't give a shit about creep aggro, okay? Like, just don't. Because you're going to try to do all of it and you're just going to potato. Like, that's what I do. Like, everyone does it. Like, if you're trying to learn too much at once, you're just going to, shit the bed because you're trying to do too much. So, all these things, I'm just being very clear, one at a time. And once you feel like you've checked one off, go back to the next one. And my thing about your tier of Dota is all of these aspects have so much room for improvement. Get a little bit better at the whole disruption of the lane equilibrium. Then do a little bit of creep aggro. Then return to disruption of the... You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't need to be a 7k lane chaotic causer while you are a 2k, creep aggro user. Like, that's not what we want. We want it to all kind of grow together one at a time. Does that make sense?
Thank God
Okay.
you are back from TI.
So, we've talked a shit ton about the lane, and I feel like for the laning stage, I'm going to just fast forward now. I feel like I've given you probably, honestly, you could work on what I gave you for the laning stage for like 2 months, honestly. So, if you have other questions, that's the great stuff to come back into my stream and ask me about. So this is also something that I highly recommend never doing. If you're an offlaner, you're core. You should have boots, bottle, and like going either blink or treads is how I look at offlane shaker. The reason why I say, like, support shaker goes mana boots
Yep.
is because you're a fissure. Like, that's what you are. Like, if you're a support shaker. If you're an offlane shaker, are you powerful against Jug at this stage in the game if you're both level 5? Why or why not?
You can be, but probably not. Like, you could build the physical level 2, but you probably shouldn't for the rest of the team. It would probably be better to have the magical damage over the physical damage versus a Jug.
Well, what I'm saying here is that if you have your exact same skill build, but instead you have stout, quelling, stick, boots, bottle, could you trade with that guy
Yes.
on the Jug?
But
Yes, you could, right? You could trade with him. So, at what point are you fearful of Jug?
right when he hits 6.
Okay, so until he's 6, should he be getting fucked up by you with trading items and hitting him and shit? Okay,
Yeah.
so that's the idea, is if you need to ask yourself at all points in the lane in the game, like, this is past the lane, like, this is still the laning stage technically, but you've already rotated, so you're saying your laning stage has ended. I'm saying that I don't mind if you TP mid for random stuff like this, like top level offline players. They do randomly rotate mid to make plays. But after you make this play, if you have boots, bottle, wand, stout, quelling, what if you're thinking of returning top? What are you immediately considering?
Checking rune spots, I guess.
Okay, that's possible. But what did we already mention about the Jug? What are you considering checking?
See what he's doing and see what way I could obviously mess up his farm.
Okay, so if he's level 6 with Phase Aquila, are you thinking to yourself, I'm going to go fuck this guy's farm up?
No.
No, right? You're going to say to yourself, shit, I don't want to return to that lane. But what if Tinker TP's back in, you can't go bottom, and you see the Jug has Phase Aquila level 6? What are you then doing? You can't be mid. You can't be bottom. You don't want to contest jug. So where do you go now?
Jungle.
No!
Jungle, but
What if you're behind in a lane? No, this is fine. I'm glad you're trying to answer, honestly. Don't take it personally. So if you're behind in lane, this is the concept I always tell people. If you're behind in lane, what is the one thing you don't want the opponent to do?
get their free farm.
Take your tower
Yes.
with that free farm. You can, if you ask yourself, can I stop them from free farming? And the answer is no. Are they allowed to free farm? If I ask myself, I want to stop this jug from free farming, I look at his items and his level, and I say, I can't do shit to that guy. Is he going to free farm?
Yes.
Okay, so we can't prevent him from free farming. Can we prevent him from free farming and taking my tower?
Yes.
Almost every game, unless he's level 8 and I'm level 4. Like that's just how it is, right? So if I can't contest jug, I can't stay mid, and I can't go bottom, what do I do?
So we just prevent him from getting the tower, I guess?
Yes, so how do I do that?
Playing in lane, creating I guess creating chaos and dragging the lane.
Dragging the lane again, right? Like the same question has to be asked to yourself at any point in the lane. Like it can be any point. You literally have to ask, like when you rotate lanes, I'm telling you as an offlaner, as a carry, like you have to consider your options. Where can I go? Like what can I do? And the last option is jungle. Literally, the last option is jungle. So the times where I would jungle if I'm offlane or carry is if I'm thinking to myself, my job is to protect my tower, and I have a support, if I'm a carry, for instance, and I have a support wyvern underneath my safe lane tower protecting it. And there's nothing else I can do for that lane. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just hit jungle creeps while she's doing that. Right? So, like, but, like, if I look at top lane where it's a jug level 5, Monkey King just bullied him away, like, I'm immediately running there. Like, yeah, you're running there now, but obviously I'm just talking about you want the better items for this. And, like, I want to be full health. I want to be up in this guy's face because he's level 5 right now, but he's about to hit level 6. So then this happens, I would have immediately left. This guy doesn't even have freaking healing word. Jesus. Okay. So I would fissure this, and then I'd go drag some creeps. Like, this should not need to happen, right? Like, you should know I can't fight this guy before it happens, right? Like, if I'm against a really good player and I know I can't fight him at all, what do you think that guy's going to do? Do you think he knows? He probably knows, right? If I know I can't fight him, he probably knows. So if he knows I can't fight him, what's he going to do?
He's gonna just bully the lane.
Mm-hmm. Why do people not play aggressively in any circumstance?
Because they don't know what the mindset of the other person is, what the other team could be doing.
That's true.
Get you out of position.
And they're scared of you because they think you can counterplay them in some way. It's like if you're a level 6 shaker and the jug's all alone and he spends on top of you on top of a creep wave, he might just die. So like maybe he'll be scared of going on you. If he has no ult and you have ult, he's going to be scared of you. He should be. And you should know he should be. So then if he's not playing scared and everyone on their team is missing, what does that tell you?
There's a good chance that they're closing in on.
Okay, exactly.
Trying to make a play.
And if he's not playing scared, you have level 6 and he already used his ultimate and you see 4 of their heroes bottom, what does that tell you? So you see Jug playing aggressive, his entire team is showing bottom.
Yep.
And he shouldn't be playing aggressive on you. What does that tell you?
That means he's probably not the best Jug.
He's just a bad player, okay? So how often in your bracket are people going to make decisions where the final answer is they're really stupid?
A lot.
Okay, so the point is, are you allowed to assume they're stupid?
No.
No. But if you know when or not he's supposed to be aggressive on you and why, and then he's doing it or not doing it, can you then assume he's stupid?
Yeah.
Yes, okay? So my point is, I'm just trying to give... I want you... The problem that people have, I feel like, is they don't think at all, even in like 6K. about what the game should be, like what should be happening. Okay, so like if I'm like, I used some examples in a previous coaching session, like a long time ago, where this Doom was level 5 and I'm level 9 tiny or some shit safe lane. And suddenly my creep wave's about to die and this Doom just starts running at me like a boss. Like he's been playing like a pussy this entire lane and he just runs at me like he's the strongest man in the world. And I'm like, what the F? And I just run away. I like avalanche to disengage. And there's like 2 supports flanking me and he was going to get level 6 from the range creep dying. It's like, it didn't make sense to me that he was playing aggressively, but the 2 supports were missing and he was level 5. So like, for me, the only possible reason that could be happening is I'm getting ganked and he's about to get level 6. So I just run, right? Like, I don't think he should be playing aggressively on me, so I'm like fearful when he is. I'm like, what? Like, what is happening here? And I don't have proof that he's an idiot, so I have to assume he's not an idiot. So if that Jug is being an idiot, but there's no proof that he is being an idiot, you have to assume he is one, right? Like, you have to. You have to assume he is. Why is all of this shit happening right now?
Because I got caught in a gank, I guess.
Why did you get caught in a gank?
Because I played over aggressively against a hero that could. Well, I didn't have 6 yet.
Do you think it's fair to say you played a lane stable when you're not at an advantage? You literally just let the creeps meet each other, you traded hits with them, you farmed normally in a lane that you are not at an advantage.
Yep.
So why is this happening?
Because I did that.
Because you're not doing what I said to do at 2 minutes. And I'm not saying like you should have learned or some shit. I know this is a replay. But the same concepts that apply at a minute and a half apply at 9 minutes. Like the same shit applies. Like, can I walk up to this lane normally? And if the answer is no, then if you do it, shit's gonna happen. Bad shit's gonna happen, right? Like, it's just going to. Like, if you're level 5 and the other guy's level 7, if I'm this carry player, I'm like, guys, what the fuck is this guy doing? Gank him. Kill him. Or, like, I'll kill him myself. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, my point is, like, you have to think about that aspect at all stages, right? That's what I'm trying to emphasize. And this is what happens to players, even in my bracket that I flame a lot, is they suddenly start jungling and they just give up on their lane because they like keep going there, and then that shit happens. And I'm like, dude, just don't walk into the lane normally. That's all we have to do here. Okay, so let's see. I don't mind that you end up going bottom briefly. You're going to chase after this guy, it looks like. Yeah, so let's see where you go now. Okay. So, if you're going to jungle, what... Okay, so if I'm a carry player, I got a great question for you. Let's just say I'm a Terrorblade. Mm-hmm. If I'm going to jungle, what is my potential usefulness in the near future as a Terrorblade? Am I a counter ganker? Am I a ganker? What am I if I'm a Terrorblade?
You'd be more of a counter ganker, but not very useful in jungle.
Oh, okay. So I'm not a counter ganker. I'm not a ganker. What am I if I'm a Terrorblade? What?
I guess you're not really anything if you're in the jungle.
But, okay. I'm trying to change your perspective here. So at the current moment, I am jungling, so I am useless. But something I talk about as a jungler is if I'm going to jungle on any hero in the game, why am I jungling? First and foremost, why am I jungling? If I am jungling, okay, first and foremost, if I'm jungling, what statement am I making? What am I saying about myself?
That I've been unable to, well, I'm not able to farm in lane.
There's literally nothing else to do on the map. I have checked every single lane. I have thought about every single gank. I have thought about everything I could ever do in the game, and none of it makes sense. Mm-hmm. So that's why when people say, BSJ, if you talk about not jungling at all, and then I watch you play Drow Ranger, and you're hitting creeps for 20 minutes, why am I hitting creeps for 20 minutes as Drow Ranger? Mm-hmm. Why am I hitting creeps for 20 minutes as Drow Ranger?
Because
what the fuck does that hero do? Like, if I show up in a lane, what am I going to happen to me?
just get.
I'm just gonna die. If I try to defend a tower, I'm gonna get dove. If I try to make an aggressive play, I'm just gonna die. Like if I'm jungling, if you're watching a streamer that's like supposed to be high level or whatever, supposedly, and they are jungling, they are making the statement that there is literally nothing else on the map that they can do. Literally nothing. Okay? So I want people to understand very clearly that every time you jungle, you are stating to the audience, as well as yourself, that there is not a single thing you could do on the map. Literally not a single thing. So, if there's not a single thing to do right now, if I'm jungling, what should be my consideration?
What I'm going to do next and what I.
Boom! Okay, nailed it. Okay, so, if I'm a Terrorblade, what am I if I'm a jungler? If I'm jungling, what is my next thing that I would ever do?
I I would
Push a tower!
Yeah.
Okay, so, where am I jungling as a Terrorblade?
Probably in your safe lane jungle if tier 1's still up.
If I understand the dead lane concept, and I'm jungling, if I'm jungling, does that mean I'm strong or weak in the game?
You're weak.
Okay, so if I am weak, which means we're probably behind, what tower am I taking first? 90% of games.
Probably off lane.
My off lane, like their safe lane, or their off lane, my safe lane?
My off lane.
Okay, there. So if I'm Terrorblade, and I'm Radiant, and I'm jungling, and I'm concerned about tower pushing, what jungle am I farming?
Off lane jungle.
So am I farming this jungle, or this jungle?
That jungle first, and if you feel safe enough to get over to there,
Perfect.
down.
Perfect. But I'm farming here because if I'm jungling, I need it to be less useless of a piece of shit than just useless. Okay? Like, I can either be useless or, like, kind of useless. So, the kind of useless comes into play because why is it important that if I'm a tower pusher and that's my only usefulness, why in the first place am I not just walking here and pushing a tower on Terrorblade? Why am I not just walking there and hitting the tower? Why have I chosen to jungle instead of pushing this tower in most games?
Because you're behind on items.
So I'm afraid of what?
Okay.
A dying. Like, literally the only... So if I think to myself on any hero in any situation, what's the most aggressive play I can make? And if I'm not doing it, the answer is because I'm scared of dying. Like, 99% of the time, the answer is because I'm scared of dying. So if I'm not going here, it's because I'm scared of dying. But if I'm jungling here, why is that so important that I'm jungling here if I'm afraid of dying here? But it's where I would be if I could be. If it makes sense. If I could be here, I would. Why is it so important that I farm near here?
So if something is to occur, or you see that they're making plays bottom, you could push the tower if you need.
Nailed it, okay? So if they're showing me that whatever I'm scared of isn't here anymore, meaning it's down here or here, I can immediately, I'm in close proximity to going to where I need to be. If I'm a Terrorblade and my job is to tower pressure and I'm farming here, and they gank my safe lane and push my tower, by the time they've gotten to my tower, I've now gotten here. If I'm farming here, by the time they get to my tower, I'm at their tower. You see the difference here? So, like, if I'm an Earthshaker jungling with no Blink Dagger, what is my only usefulness on the map? Am I a tower pusher?
As an Earthshaker, not really with level 2, but
You're not a tower pusher, so you don't have to care. You're not concerning yourself with where you're pushing. What is your thing you could do as an Earthshaker if you were to contribute?
possibly find a kill for the team.
More than likely finding a kill since you don't have your ult, especially. What can you do? Counter gank? Can't you just help a core by protecting them with a fissure?
Yeah.
Like they get gone on by two heroes and you just fissure them and then help your guy walk away? Is that not way more useful than just jungling?
Definitely is.
It's way more useful, right? So if I'm a ganker, how do I just... So let's just go through this one step at a time. If I'm a ganker, where do I jungle? Don't give me a specific location. Give me like a concept of where I jungle.
Well, you jungle in the off-lane jungle to see if safe lane carry you saw him out of position. You had the ability to get a kill on that, or well, if you as a ganker, yeah.
So if you're a ganker, you're literally asking yourself, who on their team is vulnerable? Who on my team works with me to get kills?
Yeah.
So like if I always call them plus ones. So like if I'm a shaker in this game, my best plus ones are anyone but Tinker, I'd say, like to get kills. Like probably everyone, like probably the Lich and Doom definitely die to me plus 1 or 2. And the Jug's probably the most survivable. And then Mirana's pretty hard to kill at this point in the game until I get Blink. So I'm planning myself around my heroes that I think help me kill against the heroes that I kill. Like I'm asking myself, who do I threaten to kill and who on my team helps me kill them? And then I'm jungling based on wherever those people are. Okay? If I'm a counter ganker,
BSJ, my boy SJ.
where am I jungling?
Job at TI.
I guess in the safe lane to prevent your mid and safe lane carry from getting killed.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Okay. So more importantly, wherever I think is most likely to get ganked.
Yeah.
Okay. So who's more likely to get ganked? The guy underneath his own tower or the guy this far out?
That far out.
False. Why?
Well, I guess
Anyone here know what a dead lane is?
if that's the reasoning, well then I guess because mid is more accessible to pretty much every hero, and that one.
Okay, so here's the deal. If I'm at a disadvantage in a lane, am I the one shoving the lane or having it shoved into me?
Having it shoved into you.
Okay. So, at almost any stage in the early to mid game, the most disadvantageous lanes, the scariest lanes, are the ones that are shoved out or the ones shoved in.
What? Sorry.
Okay, no, you're fine. So, we said that if you're at the disadvantage, usually the lane's going to be shoved into you. You can't
Yes.
push the lane against the other guy. So now, if we arrive at the 11-minute mark into the game, are the dangerous lanes the ones that are shoved into you or the ones that are shoved out?
The ones that are shoved into you.
Why? Because the other guy's at the advantage in that lane somehow.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's all there is to it. It's that simple. If the guy at the advantage can shove the lane, then the most dangerous lanes are the ones that are shoved in. Like, that's just... Oh, like, obviously there's exceptions. People have, like, potato map awareness, and they're just in places they shouldn't be. Like, honestly, Sniper shouldn't be bottom at all. Like, that really just shouldn't be happening. But right now, if I look at the lanes, which one's shoved in the most?
His lane.
Who's he?
Sniper's lane, sorry.
This is shoved in more than mid?
Oh, well, I thought you meant...
Sorry, shoved against you. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry. So, if I see this,
he's half
who's most vulnerable?
him.
Okay, so where should I jungle?
Closer to him.
Okay, so is this camp correct?
No.
Which camp is correct?
The top two game, those two.
Yeah, right? And I'm telling you this not because I already know what happens. This can be predicted based on lane position and anything else in the game. Like, am I 100% saying you would save this guy? No, but if you're jungling this camp and like pulling the creeps to here, I know this sounds like really advanced, but this is how people think. If I'm farming this camp and like having my hero right here, why is this a big deal that I have my hero right here while I'm farming this camp?
Because you're able to intervene if the opportunity presents itself.
If Tusk comes from this direction, he's not getting this kill.
Yeah.
Period. Right? Like, I'm literally covering 1/3 of the ways that they would kill my mid laner. So, like, if I'm here and I'm doing this, and Tinker still dies from a gank here, is it my fault?
No.
No. There's nothing you could have done to prevent that. But if I'm jungling this camp instead of this one, and he walks through this to get to my mid laner, is that your fault or is that his?
That would be my fault.
That's your fault. Because that's something you could have prevented. Are you being any less efficient by farming this camp compared to this one?
No.
No. Like, in terms of your own farm. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to be clear about. It's just like when I'm Terrorblade. I'm being no less efficient to farm this than to farm this. But, like, it's super important that if I'm a tower threatener that I'm farming this, not this. Like, it's a super big deal, right? So, like, my point is, if you are jungling, what are we clear about? What is the message you are sending to everyone else and yourself if you are jungling?
That you are useless
and that there's literally nothing on the map for you to do at this given moment. That is the clearer thing, not useless. There's nothing for you to do right now. So what does that mean?
So
what do you have to consider? The only thing you have to consider.
What you could be doing
next.
You are jungling.
Potentially, yes. And that's going to help you jungle, okay? So, like, you have to... that kind of concept, honestly, is best learned by watching a really high-level offline player and seeing when they decide to jungle and asking yourself, what are they going to do next? Like, what are they thinking they can do next? Why are they choosing the jungle over anything else? All right, like, and that's the kind of questions you ask yourself, because when I'm telling people, you know, you have to think about what you want to be doing at all times. When you watch a high-level player jungle, that's actually the most indicative decision they can make. They are literally saying there's nothing to do. Like, that is what they are declaring. So, like, that is a time where you can be like, wow, they declare there's nothing to do right now. And why? Why are they declaring there's nothing to do right now? That's unfortunate. So, yeah, what happens is, at your bracket, people just don't think, like, what happens when I enter this lane? What happens between me and this guy interaction-wise if I walk up to him? Like, you're not thinking about that. You just walk into him and die because he's a level 9 Mirana or something, and you're, you know, an off-lane shaker. And if you think to yourself, what's going to happen every time I walk into a lane, then you're just going to make better decisions. That's all there really is to it. So, now you go with your... Okay, looks like this is working out. Nice. They're just lich jugging the safe lane. That's fine. So we get kills. Let's see what we do with it. So why aren't you pushing this tower?
Trying to...
I'm not saying it's wrong that you're not. I just need a reason for you to not push this tower.
Safe because I was like at 600 health, and I thought so. Like the jug and lich were gonna come right back in.
Okay, so you don't feel safe at this tower.
No.
So if no enemy hero was at this tower, would you push it?
Yes.
So if that's the case, what camp should you farm?
The ones in their jungle closer.
Yeah, you should farm this. Should you not just hit this?
I was also going to shrine right there just because I felt like it wasn't safe to be that low.
So this is just not greedy enough. Why is it not greedy enough?
Because playing too safe can lose your team gold that they could definitely use.
I'm helping you out here.
Because Jug doesn't have his ult.
You see Doom, you see 2 heroes mid, and Jug has no ult.
Yeah.
Stop being a pussy. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I am not going to push the tower, I then have to ask myself, okay, that's fine. I can respect that. Like, I'm actually fine with you not pushing this tower. So then, what did we literally say was the decision between going to this camps and these camps?
Positioning what you could do next.
But both of these camps imply that I want to push this tower. Am I wrong? Like, so what decides between these 2 camps and these 2 camps?
The level of safety, I guess?
Yeah, level of safety. That's all that determines it. It really is. So, I'm asking you what kills you. One of them's showing. The other 2 are mid. You'd have to die solo to a Mirana at this big camp. Like, that's what would have to happen. And let's just assume if you see a Mirana, you'll walk away. Let's just kind of...
Not like last time.
Yeah. So, that's my point, though, is when you're gauging between this camp and this camp, the question you should ask yourself every single fucking time is, what kills me? Am I safe? Right? Like,
yep.
So, excuse me. Understanding what your role in the game is the only thing that matters to where you are on the map. Okay? Like, all that matters. So when you were jungling earlier with no blink, you were a counter ganker, and you have to know that. And if you know that, you have to know what it means to be a counter ganker, meaning, like, where is dangerous on the map. So if you now understand that the lanes that are shoved in you were right to say that the safe lane's likely to be dangerous. So then, if you see the safe lane being shoved in and you have a support that's defending it, how do you determine whether or not you should protect that support or not?
Oh, if the Doom's being aggressive, but Doom doesn't have any mana, so it doesn't
Okay, so my question is, if you have a support defending that tower and you fissure the offlaner and that guy's going to die anyway, should you be sitting behind him?
Wait, what?
So, say you have a support defending this tower, and there's a Doom here, and you're sitting behind the support, and you fissure the Doom, and that your support's going to die anyway. Should you be behind him?
No.
No. So, what determines whether or not you help the guy in the safe lane?
If you can actually get something out
If
of
you
it.
can actually, yeah, exactly. You can counterplay them. You're actually useful. Like, literally ask yourself, if I fissure to help this guy, does that do anything? Like, does that actually help? So, like, that's another thing about being a counter ganker. Like, but if you're sitting behind your mid laner and you fissure to save him from a gank, is that useful? Right? Like, but like, if you're just going to play the dead lane with a support that's going to die anyway, that's not very useful, right? So, like, that's another part of counter ganking. Am I actually useful as a counter ganker there, right? But my point is, if you know your role in the game and you understand what means to be dangerous and where's dangerous on the map, like, you understood that this lane is dangerous. So in order of danger, it's usually this lane, then this lane, then this lane. But there are exceptions, but that's the rule. So the rule on average is it's most dangerous, second most dangerous, third most dangerous. And so when you're a counter ganker, you should be prioritizing to yourself first, can I do anything about this lane? No? Okay, then this lane. No? Okay, then we'll sit behind this one. Like, that kind of thing. That's how you kind of do it. So it's kind of like the same idea as if you're thinking about your most aggressive play. Your most aggressive play is pushing this tower right now, right?
Yep.
Can you do that?
I could.
Technically, yes, but I agree that you're vulnerable to dying if you're pushing this tower. So you've established that you can't. So if that's my most aggressive play, then my next most aggressive play is to farm this jungle camp. And then my next most aggressive play is to farm these jungle camps. And you have to, at all times, when you're making these type of decisions, know which one you're allowed to do.
Yep.
That's how you have to play. Like, you have to think, what's my best play? What's my second best play? What's my third best play? And then you have to do that in, like, based on tier, meaning, like, check it off. Can I do the first one? No. Can I do the second one? No. Can I? Okay, do the third one. Like, my point is, notice how many questions I'm telling you to ask yourself, right? Like, that's the deal. That there's so many things to think about, and you have to do these things one at a time. And these are concepts that I've just, like, laid it on you, to be honest with you. But, like, if you watch your own games back, think about all the times that you could have played the map more aggressively. You know, think about all the times where you could have farmed a different camp. Like, you see your Tinker die, and you're like, oh, I could have been a counter ganker there. Like, I could have just been farming this camp instead of this one. That kind of stuff. So right now, let's see what happens here. Oh, you guys actually kill him off. So you get your blink. Okay. So, are you a huge threat right now? Now that you have blink and ult and shit?
Yes.
Okay. So you're a huge threat. Remember what Jug meant to you?
Yeah.
Meaning when he was a huge threat to you, what did that mean to you?
As in, like, how I should avoid him?
Yeah. Were you not, like, a force that he should just be completely scared of fucking with?
Yeah.
Or, sorry, was he a force that you
He
couldn't
was,
fuck with?
yeah.
But now you're a force that they can't fuck with. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you not on the most aggressive part of the map right now?
Yes.
Are not two of their heroes dead?
Yes, they are.
Where the fuck are you going? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you are on the most aggressive part of the map. You are strong. Two heroes are dead. Why are you leaving? Does this, like, I know you're saying there's a Mirana mid I want a ganker. Is there any gank that's more useful than just killing a whole creep wave and a tower?
No.
So, what should you be doing top? When should you leave top?
Only if I feel threatened and like.
Yeah, and you force reactions there, right? Like, and then you go kill somebody. This is how kill heroes work. Like, you don't just go somewhere and kill somebody. You have to, like, force them to do something and then go kill them. Or if they're pushing your tower, like, say they are grouped up bottom and they were 4-man pushing it. Yeah, sure, go and show up to that. 2 heroes dead. You're a threat. You're powerful. Stop reacting. Like, do your own shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're powerful. Was that Jug in the first 12 minutes reacting to what you were doing?
No,
No, he was doing his own thing, and if you got in the way, what did he do?
he tried to kill me.
Okay, why can't you do that?
I can do that, but
Exactly.
I chose not to.
No, that's what I'm saying, though, right? That's your mindset, though. Why can't I do that, right? Like, why am I letting the carry do that, and I'm just gonna passively farm mid while 2 heroes were dead, and I just wail in my own sadness while I watch this?
Yep.
Like, this is sad, right? Like, what's the most important tower in the game? In terms of how easy it is to get compared to how much it offers.
Their safe lane.
Yeah. Oh, that thing dies, actually. Like, to you just sitting there. And it's like, you would, even if you were the difference maker in getting that kill on Mirana, when would a kill on Mirana be more important than that tower?
Not really ever, unless she was on a.
Unless she is, like, beyond godlike or some shit. Okay? So, we're actually ahead in this game. What part of the map should we be playing?
The safe lane and.
Okay. So, we talked about this at TI. Or I talked about this at TI. I even talked about it yesterday or 2 days ago. Based on the dead lane concept, if I'm Radiant, where am I playing? Top. If I'm Dire, where am I playing? Ideally, in the best case, my most aggressive play, ideal play. If I'm Radiant, it's top. If I'm Dire, it's what?
Bottom.
No, it's still top. Why?
So, yeah. Well, because they're close to the Roches.
Yes, exactly. So why is it that Dire has a disadvantage in this patch? Did you hear this concept or no? Were you there for this?
I have not.
Okay.
Well, I think I heard you say something about it, but it was more because like they're shrine and like they have a lot more interest.
What's easier to invade? If I'm Radiant and I'm invading this, or if I'm Dire and I'm invading this?
I would say Dire invading that because it's so split up. If they get split up, it's easier to pick them off one by one.
So you're saying this area is easier to take over from Dire as this area is from Radiant?
Well, no. I think Radiant's easier to take that.
Okay.
Because it's low ground.
So, exactly. So that's why Radiant has an advantage.
Yeah.
So why is it that Dire doesn't immediately just go here every game whenever they're ahead?
Because shrine and high ground is not safe.
Why do you not make the most aggressive play ever? In any circumstance. It's the same answer every time.
Safety, I guess?
Yeah, you're not powerful enough to do this. Like, you have to have some simple... Okay, if you're trying to be aggressive, don't you have to have some sort of advantage to be aggressive?
Yes.
Right? So, if I'm telling you it's easier to take this as Radiant than this as Dire, why aren't people just walking here every game on Dire?
Because of the safety. And
They're not strong enough yet.
Yeah.
So, at what point will the best team in the world invade this area if they're Dire?
when they're completely ahead and
When they're strong enough.
fear. Yep.
They literally know to themselves at what point they're strong enough, and they'll go invade this area. Liquid pioneered this shit, by the way. Like, they actually did this first, like, by far. And people caught on, basically. So, like, if you watch high-level Dota, their whole goal is to get here at some point when they're Dire, to get here as they're Radiant. So I'm strong. I'm an Earthshaker. I understand Dota. Where am I playing?
In the safest area.
I'm saying, if I'm...
Oh, if you're Dire, you're playing in your top lane jungle. But
And if I'm Radiant...
you're playing in your top lane.
Okay. So, I don't give a shit what happens right here. I don't care if you die, I don't care if you team wipe them. This shit is garbage. Like, bottom lane! Get out of here! Why? Why are we here? Take the damn tower! Take this tower, we're ahead! Take it! So, if I want this tower, and I'm telling you this is the best place to be, and no shocker that some fight goes on here that you should probably be at, what determines whether or not I TP to this tower to go push it?
My cooldown, obviously.
So why would your cooldown be important? To what?
To be able to get into fights and help.
To help fights where?
On my top jungle.
But
Or my
if
top
you
lane.
respawned,
Yeah.
what determines whether or not you TP here? I'm telling you, people TP out of base disastrously bad. Like, people just do it because they're like, I don't want to walk. I'm going to TP. What does TPing do here compared to walking?
Get me to that fight quicker.
Okay. So when should I TP to this tower? If I want to play top, when am I TPing to this tower?
If it's urgent and you need
If it's urgent. Otherwise, why am I walking? What's the importance of walking?
to have your TP ready to help if there's
Something else, say here.
Yep.
What if you make a play top, get a kill, and then your tinker's setting up defense bottom, and you know the Jug's alone pushing this? It's pretty big deal that you have a TP, is it not? For this, right? Like, so my point is, make sure you understand how important TPing out of base is, and if you're ahead, how many times out of 10 do I want you TPing to your own safe lane?
0.
0.5. So, like, what if you could, what if there's a Doom pushing your tier 1 and you have Echo, and you literally can TP in front of his face and kill him? That's, like, an exception, right?
Yeah.
But, like, that's just very, like, that should be last priority on your list. And that means, like, you're not needed top. You get this kill and you get out. You know this guy's alone. You know he's being an idiot. There's nothing else better for you to do. All of those requirements are required for you to go bottom. Like, I'm just thinking to myself how much you've been ahead in this game, like how strong you've been for the recent 6 minutes, and how many times you've gone top. So, what did I talk about in previous coaching sessions, if you've heard it, about the difference in MMR between players, the primary distinguishment?
How they play and how, like, what their decision making is to.
Okay, so it's actually, eventually you get to the right place. It just takes you longer. To long story, sum up what you're saying. Like, you're on the right track, but... So I don't mind this counterplay that you just did right here. So, after you were top, you were playing top, some random shenanigans went on bottom, you showed up, and you killed them. This is fine, okay? It's because you were playing top, something happened bottom where you're like, oh, I can be useful here, and you go kill people, okay? So these are acceptable plays. Like, when this kind of shit happens, and you're available.
Yep.
And I actually think this blink was really good because you didn't know where they were, and maybe you weren't thinking in depth as I am now, but that was a good blink, even though because you had no idea where they were, and then suddenly you see them bottom. So you show up to this, you kill them. How do fights work? When you win a fight, when you get kills, what do you do?
Take objectives.
So what do you ask yourself right now?
What do I do next?
Okay, so let's consider the map positioning, let's consider heroes that are dead, and let's consider the timer. What are you doing next?
Got around 20 seconds to take mid tower, I would assume.
What objective is way more fucking important that happens in 17 seconds? By way more important, I mean, are you a tower pusher?
No.
Who is your tower push on your team?
Sniper.
Okay. Is he helping you push mid?
No.
Look at his health, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so is mid tower an option?
Not really.
No. Are any towers an option?
No.
No. So what other objective is there?
Defending top, I guess, but that's not.
17 seconds from now. Just look at the timer.
I
What
don't-
spawns in 20 minutes? Bounty runes.
Oh, I did not know what you were going for. Sorry.
Bounty runes are super fucking important. Do you not watch streams? Literally everyone like makes plays and like, shit guys, bounty runes in 30 seconds, smoke gank. Like that's
I
like
agree.
that bounty rune's worth more than a tower. Like 2 bounty runes are worth more than a tower. Like that's how much they're worth. So where should you go right fucking now?
Secure their bottom.
Why
Or
bottom?
bounty rune. Or
What part of the map do we want to play?
the safe top.
Okay,
The
so
top.
where should we go right now? Where should we be in 17 seconds?
Uh, I would say their rune if I could get it, but ours just is.
Very minimum ours, right? Like, walk all the way top and then determine how safe you feel from there, okay? But you should be at top bounty runes instantly, okay? Is this acceptable?
No.
No. Real bad. You guys get 3 kills? You see what I'm saying? Like, unacceptable. Like, you guys have 5 heroes alive. They have 0. Or 2, sorry. They have 2 heroes alive. Like, I'm literally at 1943 looking and seeing that we just killed them. I have 17 seconds till bounty runes spawn. Both of their supports are dead for 19 and 21 seconds.
Yeah.
That's like literally telling me free bounty runes. Like, they're dead for longer than the bounty runes are spawning. Like, they're dead for long. Like, punish them for it. So these are the things that like make you gain MMR, honestly. Like, I think one of the easiest ways to gain MMR is to understand what objectives to take. Like, understanding where to play on the map. Where should you be?
Top lane.
Okay, what helps you play top? Like, what's problem with this area right now?
It's completely visionless.
Okay, so if in your tier, you should ask your supports for support or for a ward. But if they don't give you one,
Yeah, I was muted this game, so I couldn't.
okay,
I was. There's a
you're
few
one.
things.
You're one of those. Okay, got it. So basically, my point is, how many times have you had the chance to play top in the last 9 minutes?
A lot.
Like 7. How many times have we played top? I think you were there once and then TP'd bottom and never went back.
Yep.
So, here's how exceptions and rules work. Would you say that it's fair if the rule is to play top, that you counter ganking to kill this is an exception?
Yes.
So after the exception occurs, what are you doing? Going back top, right?
Yep.
So that needs to be how you play at all times. Where do I want to play on the map? Why? Okay, something happens. Okay, return. I can't tell you how many times you'll watch offlaners, even carries, even mid laners. They will be playing a specific part of the map. Something will happen that changes that, meaning 4 heroes show up in their map. Say like Alina is trying to split push this area, and suddenly 4 enemy heroes show up and she doesn't want to be there anymore. She'll leave, but guess what? The second happens when these 4 heroes no longer are there. What does she do the minute these 4 heroes are no longer there?
She pushes that tower.
She goes right back. She has the rule that she wants to play top. For some reason, 4 enemy heroes are in her lane, so she leaves. The minute that those 4 heroes leave, she's going right back to top. Rule is top. Exception is anything else that happens that stops you from going top.
Yep.
So in this case, you were playing top. You ganked here, which is the exception. Go back top. Like, that's how Dota works. Where do I want to play? That is the rule. What makes me not do that? Like, is it heroes? Is it something else happening on the map? Is it counterplaying my safe lane? Like, is it, so is this creating pressure up here or relieving on this part of the map?
It's relieving pressure.
Is it creating pressure or relieving pressure on this part of the map?
Like, if I was to be pushing?
If you are Radiant, are you attempting to create pressure here or relieve it?
Where we want to create pressure
Okay,
there.
what about this lane?
That we want to relieve pressure
Okay,
on the safe.
yes. So, if you ever make a play bottom, which is the exception to where you want to play, you're doing it to relieve pressure because you think it's more useful than creating it. And that's fine if you make that decision, but that's what guides your decision. That's what has to be what guides your decision. Okay? Like, that's the best way I can explain it to you. And so, all the things we pointed out, I'm going to play for a little bit longer. Like, I'm going to play a little bit more of this replay. We've gone about an hour and 20 minutes. I feel like I've hammered in a ridiculous number of random things to you, okay? And you said you're coming back to Dota after a break, and I need you, before anything past this stage in the game matters anymore. Okay. What's your contribution to a tower push as a Earthshaker?
The enchant totem. But yeah, the damage.
Okay. Are you damage to the tower? Let's clarify this. When you think of yourself towards a tower push, are you the one hitting the tower?
No.
So what are you?
You're standing back to either
How do you help the tower push?
keeping them safe, keeping the people who are actually pushing safe, I guess.
And what about the people that might be counter pushing you? How are you relevant to them?
You're able to, well, with the fissure, you're able to obviously stop them from engaging people.
And then what? Killing them, maybe?
Yes.
Okay. So that means you're a threat.
Mm-hmm.
So what is really bad for a threat to do?
Put himself out in the front lines.
Show himself.
Yep.
Reveal where you are. Okay? This ain't you. So, if you're the threat, who's your tower push? Who's your damage? Okay, to take a tower at this point in the game, we need threat and we need damage. Am I right?
Yep.
So, who's your damage?
I would say Monkey King, but I don't.
In your team, who is your damage?
Sniper.
So, where should you fucking be?
Wherever Sniper is.
It's beautiful. It's crazy. You know, like, it's so simple. Like, what is the plan to push this tower? The guy that's supposed to hit the tower is top. Okay? Like, what's the plan? You know, like, if you really ask yourself when you're looking at these, like, 3K, 4K level games, what's the plan? Like, you know, the tower damage is top. And 3 of the gankers are mid. You know, like, please, tell me how that's supposed to work. So it's just like, my point is, you know, all laughing aside, all making fun of, you know, 3K games aside, that is how you have to think about it. What is my role in this tower push, okay? At 12 minutes, can you be the damage to the tower?
I could, but I...
Yeah, like, if you're just pushing alone like that one time, couldn't you just represent damage to the tower, even if, like... But at 21 minutes, is anyone ever solo pushing a tower?
No.
No, like, the later the game goes on, the less likely it is you're going to solo push a tower, okay? Like, especially as an Earthshaker, you're just not doing that anymore. There's much more useful things for you to be doing. So, my point is, I mean, that tower should be dead top anyways, but think about any objective you're taking ever, what combination of things need to be existing for you to take it. Damage to kill the tower, like protecting the guy who's dealing damage to take the tower, you know, that kind of stuff. Like, if you're taking Roche, like, who's going to control them? Like, literally, at the most basic level, Crit fucked this up in TI, okay? When he was in a game, I think it was the game they lost that they threw to OG. Let me check this out here. Here, we're gonna end this session right here by flaming Crit. Let's find it here. These are the best, and by no means, I want people to understand. Yes, Crit's a very good player. So, what is Phoenix's job when you're taking Roche?
Usually, when I watched it, obviously in the pros, he's always standing outside, keeping them alive. Like,
What's his role in the Roche? Just best description. Not what he's doing, what's his role?
healing and damaging at the same time with the Sunbeam.
Okay. And is he... So, remember what you said you are when you're taking a tower as Earthshaker.
Mm-hmm.
How is he relevant to that in Roche as a Phoenix?
He's the one standing around, being ready for, like, if the team was to make a play on them.
Okay, and he's like counter initiation, you know, swoop in, egg,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what his job is, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did I say? Like, okay, what's the difference between the best players in the world and the next level? Or like people will step down. Do best players in the world mess up?
No.
Yes, they do.
But not consistently.
Okay, their mess ups are much less frequent, right? That's all it is.
Yeah.
They just mess up less. So his job as a Phoenix, in regards to the Roche Pit, is to sit outside of the Roche Pit and guard them, right?
Mm-hmm. I think it's, yeah.
They lost this fucking game and lost the series. Like, would you not agree that if he's just sitting outside the pit, that never happens?
Yeah, they would have seen something at least.
Yeah, and like,
Chime
yeah, you may say BSJ, look at that, like they killed 4 heroes for 3. They were up by 7,000 at 17 minutes, right? This is step 1 of losing this game for EG, okay? My point is,
It could have been better.
it could have, like, my point is, one player in one circumstance didn't understand their role, okay? Like, maybe he thought he was safe. You saw him checking the map, you saw him checking Spectre, you saw him seeing Zeus. But if you really think about it, if he's thinking about his own safety against this lineup, do Spectre, Zeus actually tell you anything about what the enemy team's doing?
Yeah, they get vision.
How does Spectre tell you anything? If you see where a Spectre is on the map, what does that actually tell you?
If he is alone farming, there's a good chance the team is moving around to find a gank.
Okay,
Because
just
he can only
really
get
think about it though. Could Spectre have 4 heroes behind him?
Uh,
Off map. Could he?
yes.
So does Spectre showing on the map actually tell you anything?
Not
That's the
really.
idea of like what makes Spectre also a powerful carry right now. Is like if I saw an anti-mage bottom, can I just take Roche for free? Like if this Spectre's an anti-mage and he's farming here, what does that mean? Anti-mage can't actually be at the fight, so we're fighting 5v4. But Spectre showing on the map literally means nothing. Like it just means nothing. So like that's something that teams understand. Zeus on the map, it means he can't be there right away, but he still has his ultimate, he still contributes, right? Like he's not their playmaker. If he's hitting Roche and he sees Centaur farming top, should he feel safe to hit Roche?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Centaur top tells you a lot, right? Like that tells you that their initiator is not there, which means they can't start the fight, which means they're not going to fight you. That's the kind of stuff like information game, right? So like if I am in a 3K game and I see an enemy Earthshaker with Blink hitting mid and a sniper hitting top, what am I doing?
You're taking the Roche because you know they won't. be
Not
there.
Roche. I see a Shaker hitting mid and a sniper hitting top.
Oh,
Just top tower and sniper hitting top tower. Sniper hitting top tower and an Earthshaker fissuring mid. What am I doing here?
you're going for that sniper.
I'm just fucking killing the sniper, right? Because I know his team fight, his stun, his control, his counter initiation is all not there, right? So like that's why it's so important that you don't show. But my point is, you understand your role in an objective. This was one mistake. Oh, sorry, I said crit. Sorry, guys. Everyone's probably flaming me. It was fly on Phoenix. It was fly on Phoenix. For some reason, I'm just used to 4-position players playing Phoenix. It was fly on Phoenix. This one mistake cost them upper bracket finals. Like,
Yeah.
that's just the reality, right? Like, you could say BSJ, a lot other went wrong this game. I even talked about Sumail's item build being quite poor. Like, it could have been better with his advantage. But if this play didn't happen, they win this game 100%. Like, not even a question. If he's outside the pit, he eggs everybody. They wipe him. They win the game. And so, long story short, understand your role in the mid game. Are you the ganker? Are you the guy that's supposed to play on map? Are you the guy that's supposed to play off map? Like, are you the threat that's off map, or are you the guy that doesn't tell anything to the enemy team? Right? Like, if you're the Spectre, you should be playing on map as much as you possibly can. Like, if you're scared of playing on map, okay, don't. Like, don't just sit in lanes if you're just going to feed, right? But, like,
Yeah.
if you feel safe enough to do it, he should be showing in lanes at all times, because he doesn't actually show anything. Like, he doesn't tell the enemy team anything. But if you're an Earthshaker and you're just hitting creep waves, you are literally saying that your threat on the map is less important than pushing that creep wave. At 11 minutes, that's fine, because you're taking a tower solo. And you're literally saying, come at me, bro, I dare you to defend this tower with one hero, because 2 of them are dead. But at 22 minutes, when your sniper's pushing top, and you and Monkey King are casually showing mid, that's dog shit. Like, that's terrible. Like, that's, you know what I'm saying? That's the difference here. So, we talked about a bajillion things in the laning stage, the chaos, the creep aggro, like understanding, do you want the stableness of the lane, like who's at the advantage. We talked about if you're jungling, where you jungle. We talked about where you want to play on the map, either side, based on if you're strong or if you're weak. We talked about your role in objective taking. We talked about if you win a fight, thinking about objectives, please include bounty runes on your list of objectives to consider. We talked about on map, off map briefly here. There's like a bajillion things you can work on, okay? And I highly recommend, once again, one at a time. So go into the next 10 games and say, I am going to analyze to my greatest understanding who's at the advantage in this lane. I'm going to buy a bunch of trading fucking items. If they're tri-laning me, I'm going to drag creeps. And I'm going to mess up this lane equilibrium. Because that's what they want, is a stable lane equilibrium, and I'm going to fuck it up. If it's 2v2 in a normal game of high-level Dota, do I care about lane equilibrium? The answer's no.
Not as
You don't. So, like, in 2v2, the only time lane equilibrium matters is when one team is significantly advantaged to the other, which usually means a 3v1, a 2v1. Because if I'm 2v1, I can apply an immense amount of advantage here, if I'm on Dire, than I can if the lane's here. Like, that's why lane equilibrium matters so much. But if it's 2v2, where the lane's very even and people are just battling, it doesn't usually matter if the lane's here or if it's here. Like, it just doesn't... It doesn't... That's the rule, not the or that's the rule with exceptions, right? Like, sometimes it does. But my point is, just think about that stuff. Like, one game at a time, one concept at a time. Like, don't go, I'm going to mess up this lane equilibrium, and I'm going to focus on creep aggro. That's just not going to work. You're just going to fuck it all up. That's just what's going to happen. So, any final questions before we wrap it up?
No, I think that was actually extremely helpful. I wrote down most of the stuff you.
It'll be on YouTube, too, so you'll be able to rewatch it.
Okay.
Right on, dude. Thanks for signing up. And I know you talked your ear off, but I hope you feel like you have a lot to work on, and I'll see you around, dude.
All right. Thank you.
See ya.